Oh, we're still in the middle. Oh, I need to decide from last time. That's right. Well, so we are back again with the next episode of the letter. Last time I was left off with the fucking, Here we are, yeah. Zachary was killed. However, coupled with that, before Ash could step in, harsh words had already been said. Yeah. However, that doesn't mean I won't have to say things about this. Well, I'm not gonna have a good relationship with Rebecca. But I think if I'm playing the game, which I am, so shut it. You can pick your own side, but Isabella was the one that said it from the beginning with. Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes tears off her cheek like she only noticed them in that moment. Then, without another word, or even without meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in the air. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair Isabella has left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. There's no excuse for her to say those things, though, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down to a tight frown. I cross my arm in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive to the face of her irritation. I'm sorry, but you're not right in this situation. Okay? Jesus. I don't think so, at least. Regardless of my opinion about this, I don't say anything yet, not until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes while we stare each other down, but eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her?
I haven't even...
Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do is stop her.
I haven't told
Did you
him
even
about Zach
see
yet.
how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point. But please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Becca elects to stay silent, or at least it's how it all seems when a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes. When that quickly disappears, only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person we once were. And it is for the better. We've yet to know. A lull has descended in the main lounge once I return. G's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out instead of in. By the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon, these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of strings and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. Far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room in one of the tables set right beside the windows. She usually keeps the curtains closed after this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pooling on the surface of the table for both of the In her hand, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted, something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones, the ones where she's too still, too quiet, a complete opposite of her usual self, but it's these that often speak. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence when the softest sighs and slightest movements seem louder. The smallest, minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me, annoyed. Just like that, all of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid.
You're going to destroy an
us.
important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far from angry. A bit upset, maybe. Who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me, at least compared to every other person I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if I just told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now. She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I'd like at least one thing to stay normal. So, somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour. Talking, joking with her short people enough, but it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings easy and free.
Okay,
of
I have
her
another
burdens.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
Oh. And then she frowns at the realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling. Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
You're awful, and I really hate you. Just leave.
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon, I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care until only a familiar warmth lingers, once both our amusements ebbs away. Somehow, with her, these things have always come easy.
A little. You're still lame.
Damn.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill with the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead by now. Seeing it directed my way, it only takes a few seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was That was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it's intensified like a brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any good person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet, but when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze as she holds mine that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and expression softening in a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve, how she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything. Now, it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us, trivial little things with worth still too big to put into words, either because it's too early or because there's never really a proper time. For now, though, this'll do. Till the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
She didn't have to say that.
A small frown returns to her face, although it lacks the same anger from before, the bitterness stays.
And you don't have to apologize for her. If she wants to say sorry, she has to do it herself.
She has a point, though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's only the lead we have. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point. I will also agree with, no matter how desperate I am, it's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there. If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger, hence, alone. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe. I understand the dilemma, but I think at some point you have to realize that there are going to be people out there that care just as much as you do for you, as much as you care for them. And it's not fair, nor is it right for you to hold back what these people want to do or what they feel is right, even if that's doing the same plan that you want to do. So I'm just gonna say it's dangerous.
Forget it, Belle. You're not going back to that mansion.
Ooh, cold.
But Ash, what about...
This isn't up for debate. Do you really think they'll just let you in? Do you really think they'll give a damn if you walk in there carrying that stupid letter of all things?
No, but there has to be something we can tell them. Ash, they were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are. They're living in that place. That ghost woman came from there. Both her and the letter. Something's in that house, Ash. And whatever it hides might be the only thing that'll get us out of this mess.
All right. Supposing you do find an answer there, what happens? Let's say that by some dumb luck, you got inside and found something. I don't even have to bring up what they did to Zach. In fact, what they'll do to you is the least of our problems.
Oh, no dialogue. We still
It's
haven't
not like
told
we
them
have
about
any
Zach.
other choice. Besides, I'm pretty sure you've already thought of the same thing. Admit it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm going to let you run straight into trouble. What you're planning to do is risky. For you. Give it up, Isabella.
Oh, realization comes way too late and my throat closes up as soon as I realize what has just slipped out of my mouth. Yep. There was supposed to be a speech, damn it. Words carefully picked to ease people into the idea, especially her who has always seen Zack as a decent older brother she never had, his family. The way her expression shifts from terror to disbelief then to anguish makes a horrible lump in my throat feel more unpleasant. There's a sorrow in it, palpable enough as the meaning of it, I've said sinks in, a pain I can never even hope to understand, once all the deal with it's in our way. Can't even bring myself to look her straight in the eye. Unexpectedly, Isabella merely clams up, no resistance, no further argument like I've come to expect from her. She doesn't even shed a single tear. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin till the air in the whole room grows awkward and suffocating. Standstill that gets us nowhere. Although if there's one thing our talk has wonderfully succeeded at, it's making me feel like a total asshole and hypocrite. It's because you are sometimes. And I am, yes. Considering my plans tonight, yes. Sure, I can tell her, but what good would it do? I do intend to tell G before leaving tonight. He has to know if he's going to be keeping an eye on them for me. One person is already enough, however. Hell, simply letting someone in on my plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle or revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern, but someone has to be aware, at least, of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I'm only intended to be a quick survey of the place. My own words, risky. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I like to think that, yes, to some extent she understands, even if she does not entirely agree with me, the dilemma is clear in her head. Otherwise, her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set to it, her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, or her hands would no longer be shaking. She would have pushed that argument if she doesn't, and I know that she has no lack of things to say. Maybe it's because she has already heard the same thing from Rebecca. Maybe my words have made her come to her senses. Either way, it's best that we simply leave it here. For now. I've already said enough. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room, its cadence slow and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her, sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eye. Their fights never did last long.
Can we talk? Alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and I'm all more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zack. I'm the outsider. They don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse, I beat a hastily exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over, before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory, one that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't forget that I've chosen for myself tonight. Oh, here we go. Galway Shaw's Monday night crowd, although small and barely just exactly what I need tonight, with the lively music and chatter slipping. Without much trouble, soon enough, I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxborn night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of impending rain. I'll give it another hour or two before it starts. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging its thick material close to my body while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay it no mind as I hurry towards my car. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either, but I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done, regardless of how generous that is. Each second's just as important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule, and it does. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Uh-oh. Oh. Rebecca turns just as I near. The corners of her mouth twitching in a wry smile. She offers no grin except a slight shift ahead. Oh no. Pace slow, her unvoiced questions her eyes. She remains wordless. No, this isn't Rebecca. Merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky. When I come to stand beside her, another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, weary, thick with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away while she hooks her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises the question why she's out here. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain, with clouds obscuring the view. There's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands here as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That, or she's here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off.
I'm not here to stop
question.
you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice. Even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
Confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around
I
us.
wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try, but you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us.
You're gonna try and make out with me before I leave?
And it made me realize plenty of things.
I don't have good
about myself.
I don't have a good relationship with you. I'm sorry.
About us?
Huh? Rebecca trails off. Suddenly a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. Every single time I see it on her face, it's usually followed by a memory and a silly story or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who will much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times
Do you
again.
remember that one time back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
Don't make me choose between my friends. She makes it sound like I'm some sort of a hero. Mandy was in the wrong, of course. I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are it would have escalated. Who knows? Maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that, a fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time,
Here we go.
I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens. Ash, I've always been in love with you.
Oh. She says it so plainly, holding my gaze and her voice too frank that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. I love Isabella, though. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. This is what the fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary? Since I made that promise to never leave?
Oh.
I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there is relief, a weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back at me, though, there's nothing but hope in them, eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for words. Because as much as this pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. That never automatically means I'll ever hold her. For her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendships, I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad that she has stuck with me even through the toughest moments, even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me,
Rebecca,
but nothing more. I draw in a breath, ragged, unsure, uncertain how and which words to put together so it will hurt less, so the wounds that might leave won't be as deep or scar. In the end, I can only utter an apology.
Really sorry, Becca.
Oh.
I'm glad, I'm happy you feel that way, but I can't. I can't. There's already someone that I'm in love with. Someone else.
It takes all my willpower to force myself to even look at her. For sure, there will be hurt. Maybe she'll be angry and I don't hold it against her. Sure enough, when our eyes meet again, her mouth has already settled in a tight line and she assumes a rigid pose. There's a sharpness to her gaze, but behind it is pain, undeniable, searing. Something that she tries to hide, hastily looking away
Becca,
instead of
I know this.
It's all right, Ashton. You don't have to explain anything.
Yeah, but you should. I should.
I told you, no need. It's not like I didn't have an idea or anything. When you think about it, it's really quite obvious. The way you've always looked at her said everything. Anyway, let's just end this conversation here, all right? I don't think it would do us both any good. This is going to get really awkward if we keep at it. When all has been said and done, at least I told you, right? Maybe I can finally let this whole thing go. Who knows? Thanks for hearing me out, though. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you won't do anything dumb, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she flashes me one last trained smile before walking away, while the only thing I do is watch her retreating back. In that one moment, one conversation, something also breaks between us. Something irreparable, a different kind of regret, haunting me amidst the silence in my car as I drive off and leave it all behind. Then 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxport. In the distance, flashes of lightning light up the horizon. Thunder threatens with a rumble, seconds later echoing long across the sky. And with one last roar, the skies open in earnest. November 1st, Tuesday. The rain follows fast, steady sheets creating shallow puddles on the dirt path, drenching the eyes can't reach. Despite having grown up in the city, I still despise the rain. Living here doesn't mean I have to like it, Lucky me, I've reached the mansion before the downpour has turned bad. The long slog from Anselm village by foot is already made difficult by the light drizzle and biting winds buffeting against my body. By the time I found cover under the tree lining the vicinity of the mansion, my shoulders are already drenched. My hair is also sticking against my skin and out every possible direction. Thankfully, the letter, taser, and gun I brought with me as it remained relatively dry. That's the most important thing. However, those are the least of my problems at the moment. Sometime after the housewarming party, scumbag Wright suddenly grown a brain and tightened the security around the mansion, likely because of what Zack did. The guard is now stationed in every possible point of entry, the main entryway, the back door leading to the kitchens. Hell, it's almost a miracle no one has spotted me once I entered the property, although that's probably because I've kept close to the forest. While I can always create a clever way in for myself under this deluge, it'll be difficult to do so without making noise.
I don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Considering how off this place feels since I've stopped on the property and the mansion came into view, stepped in the property. Every light is off, even with security personnel on patrol outside the whole house itself. It feels empty, eerie, too quiet. Normally I'll pass it off as some kind of power outage because of the storm. It's not a far off conclusion when this place is almost in the middle of nowhere. However, something just feels wrong.
Something happened here.
Or about to. I'm walking right into it. It's the sole reason why I haven't done anything yet. Simply observing, watching, listening for anything. I might be pressed for time, but I'm not a careless idiot. Although I need a way in, desperately so, moving without thinking will only endanger me. With so many unknown variables in what we're dealing with, I also have to act on the assumption that someone is also always in danger, especially in this place. I can't act impetuously. As much as I hate Raid, I'm not about to cause his death because of one thoughtless action. If there's a place he deserves to be at, it's in prison, not a morgue. So when a hoarse, painful sob suddenly rings out above the loud pitter-patter of rain, only then do I stir. A woman. Perhaps a servant? No, God no. Or worse, Hannah Wright. It's coming from the forest? Just right up ahead, in fact. Not too far from the house. Regardless, I give the place a quick, wary glance before following the noise, carefully keeping the shadows, one cautious step after another. Well, this is where I'm gonna die. I can already feel it. Louder and louder it goes as I near. To a loud, desperate anguish cry. Great. Yeah. I break into a run. One nervous hand ready on the gun, holster at my hip, and the other raised for balance as I scurry across the dense understory. Dead leaves crunch under my shoes, but I pay it no mind. There's only the voice, the woman, and nothing. Abruptly it all stops, and I'm met with a sudden hush. Blank. Empty. Almost deafening in its stillness, even with my labored breathing and pounding heartbeats against my ears. Behind me, another branch breaks in. This chick. The dread surges within me when I spin around and take a hard step back, ignoring the chilly pinpricks crawling at the back of my neck. But before I can even meet her eyes, the world unexpectedly pitches sideways. Tilting till the ground beneath me finally crumbles. My hands fight for purchase, only to meet air. But then, it's too late. My foot slips further and the rest of my body follows. Am I in a trap door? Dark spots blur the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Shit. Soft footfalls echoes from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of laughter. But more than there are voices, lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoffed, and deride. Over. It's because you didn't listen, and over. It's all your fault. And over again. Why won't you believe me? A reminder of what I failed to do and who I've failed. What I'm trying to desperately fix. Scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me, apart from one. There is only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. I'm down here now. Half darkness greets me. For a few short moments, I remain still, allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and my breathing to even our first push before pushing myself up one arm. Turning alone is a struggle on its own. An inch of movement sends a stab of sharp pain right up my arms and my back.
Shit.
Maybe Marianne's
We didn't
down
break
here
anything.
still.
Fuck.
Well, this is November 1st. There doesn't seem to be any injury or major fracture, although the hole in my back does feel sore and raw. Probably from when I've skidded down prior to landing myself here. Comforting thought. The second attempt comes easier later, though no less painful. And by the time I'm back on my feet, the exertion has left me gasping in short, shallow breaths and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Behind me, a light draft blows in from where I've fallen in. Yeah, Marianne was down here, coming in short, sharp bursts into what's apparently an underground tunnel and brings in the fresh, earthy smell of rain from the top side. Regardless, it fails to mask the old, musty scent of the place. Mixture of mold, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctively foul, like death. Oh, maybe Marianne's dead down here. More worrisome than the putrid, festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside on some of them, but I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment, knowing how long this mansion has stood. Somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of this place is, it isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Probably not. Probably not, unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably balk at this, move out at the first opportunity, and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me reel as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to be scary. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself and the tale behind that fucking letter. But fear is inconsequential. As unpleasant as the sight of this place might also be the only way for me to get inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Yeah, it's not. Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. Yeah. No 20 paces into it. Oh, no, that's Marianne. Another sound abruptly rises above my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel before fading away just as swiftly as it rang. I pause, nevertheless, straining my ears for more of it while I gradually move my hand to my side, slow and steady until the tips of my fingers brush off my gun's handle. Although cold against my skin, it's the closest thing I have to comfort at the moment. For a long minute, I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge, and shadow at the corners of my vision for any movement. After a heartbeat and nothing, I allow the tension to ease out of me in the form of a long, shallow exhale that reverberates.
Who's there?
It's Marianne. Perhaps it's because of what has happened earlier and how I've ended up here, or maybe because it's of my training. But in spite of the panic of fear in that voice, I don't immediately answer. It's Marianne. Instead, I pull my gun free from its holster and wordlessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. I'm not falling for your games. Afraid, frantic, weak?
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
It's only after I've released the safety do I answer while continuing my approach in a careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that.
I'm not
Who
falling
are you?
for it.
Show yourself.
They're gonna make me try and
I
shoot.
can't. I'm stuck in here.
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that or have a conversation like this or be stuck anywhere. As if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells ahead and waves. Then she pulls back, grips iron bars, and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out. Can you help?
Don't you fuck me, game. 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, unsure of the woman inside, slumped on the floor, holding the bars while shaking hands, clinging to it as if it's the only thing that's keeping her upright. Not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
McCullough. The same one I met at G's 5 days ago, smashed drunk and babbling her frustrations about her employers.
Holmes?
No, not McCullough. Not McLaughlin. McCullough. Marianne McCullough, famous interior designer extraordinaire. You got it. Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks, trapped in a jail cell of all things. Her breathing shallow, and there's a paleness in her complexion, sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin, all signs pointing to starvation and dehydration.
What? How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore. I just fell in, and that woman... Whatever! Can you get me out of here? Please!
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
I fish out an energy bar from my pocket and hand it to her. She's lucky I always have one on my person. You're welcome. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar to keep me going. Yeah, 1 energy bar. Like any starving person, she wastes no time making a grab for it, unwrapping it straight away and taking in whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more if what she said is true, but for the moment it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have the sense to prioritize survival over comfort if the puddle on the corner cell indicates anything. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days, no food, and I'll give it an average of 3 weeks, though even then it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. My bobby pins won't be able to use here, not like I need it, unlike the ones we have at the precinct. The simple barrel hinge holds the gates to this cell together. Even without any special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort to help.
What are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe, anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. Can't have another person trapped in here, however McCullough ended up inside.
Well, there's no...
My head snaps back to her. McCullough extracts a wooden board from under a mess of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose upon closer inspection. I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door, applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak. In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually lifts off its hinges. It falls on the ground with a loud, ugly, metallic thud, but the sound of it puts elation on McCullough's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she has accidentally found herself in, more than happy to get out of it, despite lacking the strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there. If you didn't show up, today, I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for something. Someone.
Yeah. Your girl. Contemplative expression flickers in her eyes, something that's close to wistful, like a person she remembers from a memory. Doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private. Okay, yeah. Let's get this over with. Something deeply personal.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry, and I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans!
What do you mean?
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here! People died in this place! Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
We gotta go.
The bloody letter!
Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
Mikala, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God. Oh God. Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer.
Mikalo!
Abruptly, she stops, looks back at me with wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times these past few days, from my own friends even, to know she has seen things, the kind that'll easily make any person go mad. And perhaps we slowly are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't even think of which one's worse, death or this. It seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you're not very fond of Luke Wright.
Damn right I'm not. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord. She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't have to go with me, only to tell me enough info so I can figure it out on my own. She can always leave afterwards. Be done with this whole damn Banshee letter. Excuse me. It'll provide ample cover for her to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Then, without another word, she gestures for me to follow, leading me further into the passage. Occasionally, she'll stop, find purchase on the wall to catch her breath. I suppose there's something we have in common. Eventually, we get to a dead end. Although, before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall, tracing her fingers along weathered edges of brick with a frown on her face.
It should be somewhere here, I think.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely holds up a hand, begging for my silence, and continues searching. Then, without warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall shifts ajar to reveal a glimpse of another room. Bottles lining the wall, liquor barrels for aging, the wine cellar.
The ladder
indeed.
to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare, but after everything, should this even surprise me? Ghosts, curses, hidden passages. Can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply follow her through to the undercroft without a single question, in spite of a number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave for this kind of adventure, stuff of mystery and detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases solved, suspects put behind bars, justice to serve. I was blinded, I admit. Now I simply want this to be over. Leave the door open, escape, especially after she mentions it's the only chance to escape. We can't waste time finding the switch again on the occasion something goes horribly wrong. There's bound to be, with me feeling this high-strung and tense. I'm not even sure why I thought it would be a good idea to enlist Mikala's help. Although she has been quite helpful so far, I can't shake off the horrible feeling something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet if she wants to get out of the place alive.
You really believe that, don't you?
No. Keep
Did you say
going.
something?
No. Mikala pauses mid-step, turning to me confused.
I didn't.
You sure? I just heard...
Don't you think I'll be the first person who will know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time, I'm sure. There's really a voice. Well, voices. Despite the look of protest Mikala shoots me, I find myself stopping and looking for it, searching the immediate surrounding for the familiar form of the woman. I don't even have to venture too far from where I'm standing. Just an arm's length away from me, mirror shards litter the floor. And right on the biggest fragments, they speak. Oh, all singing the same mocking tune against my ears, letting it echo throughout the small undercroft. Murmurs and laughter, jeering, scoffing, deriding, lacing venom into every crevice in my head, taunting me.
You dragged another person into this, Ashton.
Thanks, Isabella.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
Thanks, Zach.
All because you can't fix them on your own.
Thanks, Rebecca.
You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are.
Useless.
Pathetic.
You're wrong.
My mistake lies in the first instance I've answered. The very second denial has slipped from my mouth. Their words also seeped into my heart, allowing it to prod at and ruse my temper. Despite knowing that they are merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I hope I've long buried.
Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time?
Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps?
What about Zach?
Zach.
Wrongfully accused, and you couldn't even get him out.
Someone's dead because of you.
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder, to know you're responsible for all of this?
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late. And you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends.
Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring Luke Wright to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together.
No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are.
You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through to me. Every weakness, every insecurity it knows, to hear said in my friend's voice, even more so. But what I hate above all, it is...
You know it's true, though.
All of it.
It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it.
You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore!
It laughs, sharp and piercing as it sounds. Something in me snaps, a rage hastily unfurling, red filling my vision, and the next thing I know, I'm raising my hand and something grabs at my wrist, followed by a buzz as another word breaks through
Don't listen to it!
Oh, McCullough. The fog from my mind lifts. Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding my every sense. All at once, there is this deafening silence. Slowly, I became aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, the faint old scent of death and decay somewhere, and a hand holding onto my wrist as if to keep me from hurting myself. In my hands, a shard. Blood drips from where it has cut my palm, trailing down my wrist until it disappears behind my sleeve. Not too deep, negligible even. There is a pain, however, a different kind, an ache somewhere else that stems not from the wound, but from every word. Every single word has hit. When I glance up at McCullough, she merely stares at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it! No matter what happens, don't do what it says! It's how it gets us.
My grip on the shard falters, but only after I nod and drop entirely does she release my wrist. Afterward, she simply steps back and looks away, hugging her arms closer to herself. She breathes a heavy sigh. A sigh, heavy. Perhaps weighted on with her own guilt, what the monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks off without another comment, but there's worry in her as she gives the fragments one last glimpse. On the ground, they lie, lifeless now. No more voices, no more insults, but even as I walk away, one whispered tongue.
Useless, Ashton Frey.
Whatever, shut up.
You are going to die.
That's cool.
And you are going to die alone.
I appreciate it. A fear. One that has been long kept in darkest places in my heart. One that a small part of me wishes for. The trapdoor swings open without much fuss. It isn't even locked, probably left open for when Wright asks for some midnight snack. I make sure the coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself and help McCullough up. Butler of theirs is nowhere to be seen. He's probably sleeping, attending to his master, or doing some extra late night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Wright won't touch anything to do with menial chores, not even with a 10-foot pole. It's next to impossible for him to linger here. No servants, no anyone. And just as easy as that, we're in. Gently, I close the hatch. If things go well, the same path will be our way out. If our luck doesn't hold, that's not an option now, is it? I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think what might happen. Sometimes it's best we simply revel in the little victories. They're great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place like this, fraught with unknown dangers, it's a feeling that lasts only but a second. Suddenly a sob, ringing out from some distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. I ain't going over there. I don't care. Beside me, slumped on the ground, pale and heavy breathing, McCullough immediately tenses. Her eyes go wild as she grips the side of the counter with the force that might be able to crack it. If only she has the strength. As it is, she could barely stand. She hasn't fully recovered. Makes sense of the 3 or more days without proper food or water. And it's this weakness that puts the fear in her eyes. She's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point.
Holmes, I really don't think going any further is a good idea.
You don't have to.
Look at this place. Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go? I really don't like the sound of that.
You really don't have to come with me. Just until the kitchen, yeah?
Yeah.
We're already here. You've done your part. From here on, I'm going on my own.
Yes, I said that, but...
Can you even stand?
She doesn't answer.
You'll only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
What? I'm not going to leave you!
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
Hell yeah.
Probably all will be, if no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake!
Maybe. It's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
Cullough still appears as if she's about to argue, so instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. Standard issue for every member of Luxborn police force, but it shouldn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire one. She's gonna use it on me. Even Isabella may just be able to use it without training. Yet, Miss Interior Designer Extraordinaire stares at it as it just handed her something particularly nasty.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
Are you daft, Holmes? I already told you!
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friends what might have happened here. They're at the crawl. You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. I want to be optimistic about this, really. However, I'm going against something almost everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. McCullough seems to understand this as well after what I've said. Any sign of protest has already died from her tongue, and she simply looks at the taser quietly. After a moment, she just nods. Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder, and I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out of the door. Like a siren call, her voice beckons. Finding out who that is seems a good place to start as any. No, it doesn't. Not unless if it's Hannah Wright. The entire place just feels empty. Odd, when a big house like this should be full of staff. You'd think there'd be one or two roaming about some late night chores or someone seeking out whoever's creating this ruckus. Oh, it's getting spooky, guys. But we're gonna leave that for the next episode. Ooh, see you next time.